This is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host, Chris Camello. What up, Chris?
Cue the song to Days of Our Lives or As the Lake Show Turns. More drama in Tinseltown, my friend.
More drama, and that is the name of the game. And actually, it's been a while since the Lakers have had some actual good, juicy drama. So we're here for that. We'll get into, obviously, the Baxter Holmes article that everybody is talking about today. But also, we'll go behind the scenes as to why the Lakers were able to get that comeback win in Denver. And Kyle Tucker, LA Sports, on fire. Dodgers sign him for $240 million. Are the owners going to push for a salary cap now in the MLB? We'll get into all that. And, of course, we got your picks for NFL Championship Sunday, AFC Championship, NFC Championship. We got the Broncos and the Patriots and the Rams and the Seahawks coming up Sunday. We'll get into all of those different matchups. And I got a few picks in each game for you. But Chris, man,
wow,
it's a lot going on. Before we get into the article, let's talk about something positive with the Lakers for a little bit, because they are now winners of, I believe, 3 straight after 2 straight. Sorry, but they've won 3 of their last 4 is what I was trying to get at. Luka played great, over 38 points, 13 assists, 10 rebounds. He was on fire. LeBron James didn't even have to crack 20 points. And this is a game I thought that they could have lost and probably should have lost after the game started, being down 16 at halftime. But they were able to push through and find a very big and solid win for themselves. Chris, what do you make of the Lakers and their comeback? Even though they were down Jokic, them being Denver, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, a lot of their players were still out on the court. Bruce Brown, those guys were there.
Yeah. Christian Brown and Cam Johnson were also out as well.
All right. Well, shit. What do you mean?
No. But you said Bruce Brown played. You're right. I was just saying Christian Brown and Cam Johnson.
I know Christian Brown. Yeah.
No. First of all, impressive win. That had the feeling, especially after Denver went on that run, because the game was close for the first 2 quarters. Then Denver goes on like an 8 or 11-0 run or something like that, something crazy where they just rattled off a bunch of points. Then the second quarter, Jamal Murray caps off a brilliant first half with a half quarter. And Chaez, we were saying to ourselves, this game's probably done. Yeah, no Jokic, no problem. But guess what? Jamal Murray has never seen a Laker team he didn't like to freaking bust their ass. I mean, seriously. It didn't matter early in his career, later in his career, in the middle of his career. He owns the Lakers. That's just what it is. So to see them go down 14 at half and then 16 in the third quarter, you're saying to yourself, like I am, this thing is done. The Lakers don't have enough defense. Murray's going to probably pop off for like 40, right? That didn't happen. They chipped away. They responded going down 16 by, I think they pulled within 2. So they went on like a 14-0 run. They had 2 big runs in the second half. But more importantly, Chaez, they finally put a muzzle. They snapped the blue arrow. They finally figured something out on how to stop him, because for years, whether it be Frank Vogel, Darvin Ham, whoever, they have not found an answer for Jamal Murray. So they finally clamped down on him. Guys like Jones, who were good throughout the game, Aaron Gordon, everyone started to cool down a little bit. Denver has been very shorthanded for a while, and yet they've still been able to win some games. So the fact that the Lakers stepped it up defensively, obviously Luka was tremendous. A 37-point triple-double. LeBron made some big plays. Drew Timme is looking like a secret weapon all of a sudden.
Yeah, he really is, man. He's playing great.
No, for sure. He played well. Rui Hachimura coming up off the bench. That's seeming to be the secret sauce. And, I know everyone's going to say, well, Denver was shorthanded. Yeah, but so are the Lakers. Still no Austin Reeves. They lose Ayton in the first half after he got poked in the eye. And we'll see. He's going to probably be day-to-day. And obviously Rui is not 100%. But you're starting to see a couple of things. One, with Timme and Rui coming up off the bench, Chaez, it's given the bench some length. Because we know Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent are not consistent offensively, right? Jackson Hayes is nice, gives him some energy, but you don't really have a true shot getter off the bench. You don't have a guy who can go out and get his own shot and consistently score in that second unit. So now with Timmy and Rui coming up off the bench, it gives the Lakers a little bit more balance. And the other thing that we have seen, we finally saw some really good team defense against two of the top teams in the NBA. Toronto on Sunday night, right? Coming off that, ugly loss up in Portland. They responded well against the
playing
Toronto
as
Raptors.
a unit, playing as a
unit, which is what I said. If you're going to play, obviously Lakers don't have any defensive stoppers, right? Maybe Vanderbilt, but certainly they don't, Marcus Smart's best defensive days are behind him. I still think he's pretty good, but I think his best attribute is going to be defensive leadership.
Is he on a 1-year deal, Chris? Is he on a 1-year deal?
I think a 1-year deal or a 1+1. So I think he may have an option for next season. But my point being is you don't have a true stopper, right? So when you are in order to stop these teams, what do you have to do? You have to defend well as a team. These last two games, they have figured some things out, particularly in the second halves of the Denver game and the Toronto game, where they kept these teams in check. Now, obviously, Denver may get an asterisk, no Jokic. Could they do the same thing with the Joker in there? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, it's a positive trend. And on this, 8-game road trip, now it's 7. We got to see more of that because you got some tough competition coming up. Yes, there's no back-to-backs, but a lot of traveling, a lot of different time zones. And you're going to incorporate Reeves back in there, Chaez. That's going to be tough. But all in all, their first impressive win in probably more than a month. So I like to see that, especially against a good team like Denver.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me with the Lakers is just consistency. If they can be consistent in what they do on a daily basis, then they'll be all right. But it seems to me like that's just what they're lacking. Is just the consistency day in and day out. And for whatever reason, JJ Redick is not able to get through to some guys. And you can only use, and we hear everybody saying this, but it's just really the truth. You can only use the, guys aren't playing with effort and, we need to, give better effort consistently. Like that message gets stale after a while. So, but you had the Lakers playing well for quite some time and just showing some highlights here. Like look at the shot selection for Luka. I mean, the fact that he's able to get to his spots and you have a guy like LeBron that can finish. LeBron had some crazy finishes in the lane, especially late.
Starting to get his legs under him.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I'll say this, Chris. I know this is supposed to be a positive topic, but every game that goes in apparent to me that this is LeBron James's last year, at least with the Lakers. It's just clear and apparent to me. Obviously, he's on this 1-year deal. He doesn't have, a contract. Obviously, he would have to, play his heart out and win a championship to really come back with the Lakers, I think, or for them to get really deep in the playoffs. But for me, I think this win could be a turning point in terms of consistent defense and consistent effort. I know energy and injuries have been a thing that has plagued this team all year long. JJ's talked about, getting a guy back and then 2 guys go down in the next 2 or 3 games later. But they are getting healthier day by day. Austin Reeves is going to come back sooner rather than later, although it's been, 2.5 weeks since?
No, Reeves went down on Christmas, dude. Reeves went down on Christmas, so it's been about a month almost. So, but they said he's going to return. Yeah, so they said he's going to return sometime on this road trip. I just don't know when. It's probably not going to be tomorrow night, obviously, but it'll be sometime when they're traveling in Chicago and Cleveland and Washington, and then the 2 New York teams as well. So, all we can do is all we can do, my friend, is see how they play with the guys that are healthy, but. I agree with what you're saying. And, listen, LeBron James, and obviously we'll get to the article because he is a big part of that coming up, that we're going to get to. But let me just say this. He's still playing at a fairly high level. And I know this was another, historic streak that was snapped, not being an all-star starter.
That fadeaway was nice.
What was that?
That fadeaway.
Exactly.
These highlights.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and Drew Timmy's him and LeBron have had a nice connection. Listen, if this is the end for LeBron, it should not be sad. How many guys can say that they've played for 23 years at a high level? Let me just leave that last part in. At a high level, Kareem played for 20. But Chaz, look at Kareem's numbers in 89. Yes, the Lakers reached the finals that year and got swept in the finals by the Pistons. They were shorthanded, no Byron Scott, Magic hurt his hamstring, etc. Kareem was averaging under 10 points a game in year 20. How many other guys in years 20, 21 have been able to put up all NBA caliber
Chris.
numbers?
No,
not Vince
nobody.
Carter,
So
not Kobe, not anybody. Yeah, I hear you, man.
Nobody. But that's the thing. At the end of the day, it's not about any of that. Honestly,
no, it's not.
It's really just about wins. And this team, unfortunately, is underperforming. And I'm happy that they've won 3 of the last 5, and starting to maybe push things in the right direction. But you can't lose to certain teams like Charlotte and
or Sacramento,
or Sacramento, or Portland. Like you name so many teams, and it's like, man, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to not having to be able to you got to be able to share the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's sharing the ball, which at times it gets stuck in Luka's hands. It gets stuck in LeBron's hands. Listen, my position, even after an impressive win, Chaz, I don't know how you feel about it. It's still the same. This team has a ceiling to what it can accomplish, because I don't know. Yeah, I was excited. Great win. All right. Win in Denver. You kick off the road trip on a high note. As a Laker fan, absolutely, I was proud of that win. However, looking ahead into April, even if the Lakers are 100% healthy, there is a ceiling to what they could accomplish, because why? They are not great defensively, and they don't have the personnel that can match up with athletic, skilled offensive teams. They just don't. That got exposed last year against Minnesota. It's been exposed in recent years by Denver. It's been exposed this season by teams that probably won't even make the playoffs. The Charlottes, the Portlands, the Sacramentos. So if you can't beat those teams who have the length on the perimeter, the athleticism, the speed, the quickness, and the offensive skill of making shots and creating for themselves, how are you going to deal with the OKCs, the Houstons, a healthy Denver team, a healthy San Antonio team, and a pretty good Minnesota team? How do you deal with all of that, brother? That's the thing, as currently constructed. And I'll be honest with you, Chaz. I'll take it one step further. I don't even know if a guy like Herb Jones could necessarily help this team this season.
No, he can't. And that's why they haven't made the trade for him. That's why there's a reason why the Lakers haven't made any trades, because there's very few players that they can even get their hands on with the assets that they have that's even going to make a difference, especially when you have guys in and out of the lineup as consistently as they have. Now, you got the Lakers on the court that aren't great right now, or at least trending in the right direction than what they were 10 years ago when Kobe was 3 months away from retiring, which is where they were 10 years ago. Baxter Holmes, 10 years, man. Baxter Holmes wrote a detailed article behind the scenes of the Lakers' sale to Mark Walter for the valuation of $10 billion. Chris, I'm just going to get right to it. There were some highlights of this article that I want to get to. The biggest one in there is Jeannie saying to staffers and team sources that she's not grateful for LeBron, or the sentiment that he should not be receiving all of the praise and the credit because the Lakers didn't need him as much as he needed them, and yada yada yada. Just that all of that sentiment, that was a lot in the article. But the thing that really spoke to me was the family part of everything, which lends a little bit more credence as to why the Lakers were even sold. The 2 younger brothers, Johnny and Jesse Buss, actually came up with the plan to sell a smaller stake in the company or in the Lakers to be able to maintain still a large stake of ownership, a majority stake, but to flush the siblings with cash to not get them to sell sooner rather than later. Sooner rather than later. So they wanted to be the last two siblings standing when it comes to the ownership, because Dr. Buzz set it up to where as each sibling passed, the shares would be redistributed by whoever was still alive. So there's so many different ups and downs and highlights to this article. But the family dynamic to me was just the main point that you really just couldn't get around. What did you make of it, my man?
First of all, a well-written piece by Baxter Holmes, and of course, a lot of drama, which is why I started the show with "As the Lake Show Turns," parody of an old sitcom. Soap opera. Here's the thing. I think you could make the argument a lot of the Lakers' prestige and what made them special might have died when Dr. Buss passed away in 2013. That was a core function of it. And this is not an unfamiliar situation, brother. The kids are never as good as the men that they're preceding. Hal Steinbrenner has not been good as George Steinbrenner. And I guarantee you, Jonathan Kraft won't be as good as his father, Bob, when Bob decides to step down or pass away. And I think you could say the same with Stephen Jones, even though Jerry's, luster and prestige is kind of worn off too in recent years with the Dallas Cowboys. Here's the problem. 3 things: control, ego, and competence. We have seen all 3 of those in regards to the Buss kids, in particular the 3 oldest kids. And that also includes Jeannie, unfortunately. When I was reading this, Jeannie was a hero in 2017, rescuing the team from the incompetence and shrewd hands of her 2, idiot older brothers, Johnny and Jim. Right? Then she puts in Pelinka. She puts in Magic. Let me just paint you a picture over here. And the 2 younger boys, Joey and Jesse, who I think did a fine job in the scouting department, found Alex Caruso, found Austin Reeves, found, guys that ended up getting traded to get Anthony Davis, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo, Josh Hart, Kyle Kuzma. Obviously Kuzma wasn't traded, but still was a piece that ended up, eventually getting dealt. And I don't know what was promised to who, but I could understand why everybody wanted their crack at, running this team. That's really what it came down to as well. Now, Jeannie clearly was maneuvering behind the scenes. Maybe she got wind of it, and maybe she said, you know what? If I can't own the Lakers and I can't do it, then nobody could. Maybe it was that. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was, this is the best thing for everybody. We all get out of here with a big windfall of cash. We're cleared of this. Maybe our family dysfunction will be eradicated with the sale of the Lakers, and we can go back to being just the Buss kids, not Buss kids, owners of the Lakers. I think, unfortunately, they were never able to cohesively run this corporation well. It was almost like a real live season out of Succession. And unfortunately,
that's exactly what it was.
It's exactly what it was. So at the end of the day, and I'll turn it back over to you because I do want to talk about the LeBron aspect of this as well. But the fact is, I think they did the right thing selling. I think when you look at some of the things that Baxter wrote about, some of the worst seasons in Laker history were under their stewardship, Jeannie and Jim's in particular. So she has to wear that, brother. She has to wear that. Jim has to wear that. Everybody's got to wear that. And their father would be disappointed, not because of the losing, but because of the lack of cohesion, chemistry, staying on the same page, and coups and counter coups and selling the team out and dissing phone calls and firing siblings and firing people close and everything like that. Control, ego, and competence. It doesn't get much more simple.
All right, so
go ahead, brother.
So, I'll just say this. I'm just glad personally that, Jeannie and the whole family aspect is going to go away. I feel mostly for, the younger siblings because they had the vision and they I couldn't imagine loving the Lakers as much as they probably do and having ownership of the Lakers. All you got to do is pretty much wait it out for everybody. I mean, it sounds cryptic, but wait for your siblings to die off, essentially.
Yeah.
And which they would because they were 20 and 30 years older. Right. So just not naturally speaking. And the rug just gets swept from up under them. Now, they're not going to get the woe is me from the majority outside of people maybe like me because they're still getting flushed with $500 million each.
Yeah.
Like not
Generational wealth.
not to split, but each. Like each of them all of the siblings are getting $500 million after taxes. Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the fact that they were fired the way that they were really doesn't sit well with me. But it really just speaks to the resentment. And the main thing in all of this that a lot of people probably glossed over was the agreement reportedly between Dr. Buss and his first wife, Joanne, that after they gave up their first child for adoption, who came back to, search for their siblings that they, got reconnected with,
right,
that he promised not to have any more children after her with anybody else. And he still did. And, that resentment from Jeannie Buss has always carried on.
Yep.
Reportedly, she said, you were never supposed to be born.
And therefore you shouldn't have this either.
Correct. Exactly. Him or his brother, Johnny.
What an awful thing to say. From everything we've seen about Jeannie, that was the one thing, Chaz. From everything we think about Jeannie.
I'm not gonna let you pounce on that right now. Hold on.
Okay,
you can pounce. You can pounce after. But
my apologies.
I'm just gonna say that like that comment is neither here nor there with the point that I'm making, that I don't think that ultimately this is a bad thing for the actual franchise.
No,
it's bad how it went down personally from sibling to sibling.
Right.
And the silver lining of it is maybe it removes the wall of tension to allow them to still come together and be a family and live the rest of their lives and be billionaires, essentially, especially if they, reinvest their money, the $500 million that they're getting, which I'm sure Johnny and Jesse are going to do, especially with the group that or the company that they've created in the last few months also. But Joey. I just think that, Joey, not Johnny, Joey and Jesse.
But Johnny's quoted a lot throughout the article. So
Johnny is clearly everywhere in that article.
Oh my God.
Guy who was radio silent, Jim. Yeah. Jim was no quotes, barely any mentions. And that's the guy who actually ran the Lakers for a good part after Dr. Buss was gone, before Jeannie took over in 2017. So ultimately, I just think it's a good thing, and there is a silver lining, but the whole family aspect is just, very disappointing, and just glad that the Lakers can kind of move from that shadow and be ran like an actual business. Because ironically, on the same exact day, and we'll get into it, the Kyle Tucker press conference went down. Yeah. So I'll give you, when we talk about that, I'll give you some comparisons and contrast, ironically on the same day. But that's really my take on the Baxter Holmes article. But if you think that Jeannie Buss was stupid enough to tell somebody that she's not appreciative of LeBron coming to the Lakers, I don't know what to think of you, and I don't know what to say. But outside of that, we all know that LeBron James deserves the majority of the credit for bringing the Lakers back from 2018 to now. Even though they only won one title, it's better than none. And relevancy and success and wins in a season matter. When you're only winning 20 to 30 games a season, you're not relevant, even if you are the Los Angeles Lakers.
Which was the one surprising thing, too, of the article, was the fact that where did that come from? That was really very surprising. I think you shouldn't have never been born. I think that, that was kind of cruel, obviously. I mean, not kind of cruel. That is cruel to say to your brother. And that was one aspect where it was just like, is this woman really putting other people and this business ahead of her own family? Which I understand. Sometimes business and family are oil and water, Chaz. They don't, you're in that line of business, you're in the business field. You understand that. They don't always jive. I totally understand that. But at the same point in time, there are certain things you should not and cannot be doing, because this thing is a family business at the end of the day. And for you to kind of, again, backdoor it the way you almost did, with your two older brothers, to now do that to your two younger brothers, I just think was very surprising. But the LeBron James aspect thing, the vibe that I got reading that, and I told you this off air, was Jerry Krause, the former general manager of the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, where Krause kind of started putting his own ego and his own interest and feeling, betrayed that he wasn't getting enough credit as much as Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Phil Jackson were getting. And that's what led to a lot of issues, a lot of tension, how Phil Jackson got shoved out the door. When I read that, I couldn't help but think that, like, is this her way of almost shoving things out? Look, some of the things were sort of, you could understand it, right? Like LeBron not taking any accountability for the Russell Westbrook thing, even though they did it to appease him. That sounded kind of like, okay, that sounds like it could be real, because LeBron has kind of been passive aggressive throughout his career and shifting blame onto at different times. However, the thing that got me was, he never was grateful that we drafted his son. Like, well, you made that choice knowing you were all in on LeBron James. We gave him that extension and everything like that. This is a side effect of being in the LeBron James business. And I'll go one step further. You had no future plan. The Luka thing just fell in your lap barely a year ago. And that was through some other incompetence known as Nico Harrison and the Dallas Mavericks ownership. But we won't even get into that. The issue is you had no other options. It was LeBron and it was Davis. And we all knew that after 2020, 2021, the times of the Lakers winning championships was likely done. Yeah, they made that run in 2023, and that was it. To me, Chaez, that was their last gasp. So what I'm saying is, of course you were going to do those things. Give LeBron the extension, draft his son, hire his friend and podcast partner as the head coach. You were totally in. So I agree with you. I'm calling some BS on some of that stuff, because how much of that is her deflecting and how much of that is actually real? Because I don't believe a lot of that stuff. That's her trying to deflect.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just posturing and, politics and positioning within the media. So I'm not going to read too much into it. All I know is, what I've said in terms of how I just think about the Lakers moving forward. I'm just glad that the whole family dynamic is kind of being pushed to the side, because it now allows the inner structure of the team to be ran at a more efficient basis.
And like a business. And like a business.
In speaking about that business, the business of sports really can get dicey, obviously, as we know with the Lakers. But I told you I was going to get into the whole Kyle Tucker thing, and you see the irony of how the Lakers are, being ran a certain way, even though they produce good on the court.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how much goes on behind the scenes, and they still produce. On the Dodgers end, the same guy that owns it or runs the group that owns both teams is just mowing down the rest of the league and the other, I don't want to say 29 owners, but 28 owners, because the Mets are still doing what they need to do.
Mets having signing guys nice like season.
Freddie Peralta and Bo Bichette. So, Chris, what did you make of the $240 million that Kyle Tucker is going to receive from the Dodgers over the next 4 years? And just a couple quick highlights I just want to add in reference to his contract. When it comes to Kyle Tucker, he's only getting paid $1 million in salary this upcoming year, but he just got a bonus for $58 million is a signing bonus. And he's going to receive that by February 15th. So the majority of the money that he's going to receive, he's going to get it up front. He's going to receive $55 million next year. He's going to have opt-outs after years 2 and 3. He's going to get a hotel suite on road trips. He's getting all of the bells and whistles with this deal. And he's excited to be able to help the Dodgers three-peat. Chris, what do you make of the deal? And do you think it's going to force the owners to push even more for a salary cap?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, congrats to the Dodgers. With Tucker, I was sort of in a take it or leave it kind of a thing. This was not like Ohtani or Yamamoto or Freddie Freeman, where it's like, we could use this guy. We could really use him. What I did say was the Dodgers could use a bat who could play a corner outfield. And obviously Tucker checks off both of those boxes. In addition, he's a former Gold Glover. He's played in 3 World Series. He's won a championship. He's a 4-time All-Star. The one thing that I haven't liked about him over the last couple of years is his seasons have not finished well. 2 years ago in Houston, it didn't finish well. Last year with the Cubs, Chaez, he was an MVP candidate during the first months of last season. And if you notice, when he started to drop off, so did the Chicago Cubs. So he only ended up with 73 runs batted in. So there's been some question marks on how much is this guy worth it and how much of it is just, you know what, he's a good player, but he's not somebody that they should invest a lot of money. But what the Dodgers did is what they like to do. Let's corner the market. Let's wait it out. And let's see if we can get these guys to do what we want them to do, which is sign a short-term deal for high AAV. We'll load the contract with incentives, signing bonus, opt-outs. You know, he just turned 29 this week on the 17th, right? So he's guaranteed for this year. He's guaranteed for 2027. And then he could opt out, Chaez, going into year 3, and he could opt out going into year 4. So if he wants to hit
and re-up for more money,
re-up either with the Dodgers or somewhere else, similar to what Manny Machado did with the Padres. You know, he signed that long 10-year deal, but he had a 5th-year opt-out. I never understood why the Bryce Harpers, the Anthony Rendones, all these guys, you know, even Mike Trout, went for the security of a long-term deal when in the end, they are now playing below their market value. Bryce Harper in particular, but story for another day.
Well, because the odds are sometimes that the odds are not in their favor to not get hurt or not have a slump. So
understood, but that's why you have an option, bro, a player option. You want to continue on this train, go right ahead. But if you think, hey, I'm playing at the peak of my powers and I'm going to be underpaid on the back 9 of this contract, why wouldn't I opt out or threaten to opt out and renegotiate and get a longer term deal? Manny Machado just did that with the Padres. And say what you will about Machado, I know he's hated throughout Los Angeles or whatever, but the fact of the matter is he made a great deal. And now he got more money from the Padres that's going to actually last him through the rest of his prime and into the to his declining years, which are not too far away. So what this means for Tucker is he gets to hit free agency again at 30. He gets to go into a position where he doesn't have to worry about being the guy. And the thing is, Chaez, he has experience in not being the guy. Why? His years in Houston, playing behind the Correas, the Altuves, the Bregmans, the, you know, Justin Verlanders, the Yuli Gurriels, you know, all of those guys, Yordan Alvarez, and just focusing on being a baseball player. And yeah, I'm sure he's going to be setting his sights on being an MVP caliber player, a Gold Glover, Silver Slugger, and of course, the most important thing, an MLB champion once again for the second time in his career, because it's been about 4 going on 5 years since he's won a championship. But now he goes into a situation where he doesn't have to do the heavy lifting or have all eyes set on him. There's a lot of credibility built in with the LA media as well with the fan base. Whereas had he gone to the Mets, had he gone to the Phillies, had he gone to the Toronto Blue Jays, who were actually out offering more years, even though it's less money, more years, there would have been more like, we need Kyle Tucker along with Guerrero to get us over the hump. We need Tucker along with Soto and Lindor to get us over the hump. We need Tucker along with Schwarber and Harper to get us over. I just don't think he has to do as much of that heavy lifting with the Dodgers. And I think he could kind of cruise, but still bring that hunger and keep everybody else hungry as they pursue a 3-peat this year. Boom.
Oh, you think you might drop just now? You feel good about your point?
I think I drove it home, brother.
I will say that you most definitely drove it home. I think ultimately, you know, from the perspective of, I mean, you still, out of all that, you really didn't answer the question. Are the owners going to push for the salary cap?
Oh, let them be enraged. To quote Bob Uecker from Major League 2, I think I'll wet my pants. Okay. You guys want a deflection, you guys meaning the billionaire owners who own some of these small market teams, a deflection from the fact that you've done a piss poor job investing in your teams through the years. You're billionaires. You're not investing in your team that is going to want the fans to come to the stadiums and spend money and create revenue. So you're not doing that. So it's easier to blame the evil empire that is the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets or the Jays or whoever in order to take the deflection off you. That's weak sauce, and the players union are not going to stand for it. Good luck battling that with Tony Clark.
So are they going to push for it?
They may push for it, but you also, like Dave Roberts said, push for the salary cap all you want. But you're also going to have to eat the floor. To quote Denzel from The Equalizer, when you pray for mud, you got to deal. When you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud.
Yeah.
So when you pray for that salary cap, you're going to have to deal with the salary floor, meaning the owners.
We'll see what happens. I think Kyle Tucker is going to be great with the Dodgers, and they're going to three-peat. So there you go.
And let me say one more. Can I just say one more thing on that? The top down. We could outspend you. We could outdraft you. We could outdevelop you. We have a great system in place that everyone follows, but it's not as stringent as what Belichick had with the Patriots. And get this, we could find better deals at the bargain bin, i.e. Chris Taylor, Max Muncy, Justin Turner. We could do that better than you too. We are just better. At Globo Gym, we're better than you, and we know it. The Dodgers are Globo Gym right now. Andrew Friedman would be White Goodman. No question about it, brother. So that is where we are at. You want to bitch, you want to whine, you want to lean on the salary cap, go right ahead. But at some point, you're going to have to acknowledge your own laziness, miserliness, and incompetence in the process. Boom, I just dropped it again.
Chris is apparently feeling himself tonight. All right, moving on to football. Championship Sunday, my favorite day of the year.
Yes, sir.
Rams, Seahawks, Broncos, Patriots. I don't think that the Patriots are just going to take this one running away. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think Jarrett Stidham is going to be a respectable quarterback against that New England defense. I do like the under in this game. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of points scored because the defenses are going to very, very much so key in.
I agree.
And take away their best thing or their best options. This game is going to be a pretty good game, but it's really just the appetizer to the real Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And the real Super Bowl is the Rams and the Seahawks, because after meeting up for the third time, it's not about X's and O's.
No,
it's not about, it's all about the adjustments and the wrinkles that you're able to come up with and just a few plays here or there. If I really think it's just going to come down to the Rams. If they can stymie Seattle on special teams, they'll win the game. That's it. That's all. That's really all it comes down to. If you can not give up any big plays on special teams and make sound tackles, you'll probably win the game if you don't have any turnovers or large penalties. But I'm going to take the Patriots. I'm going to take the Rams. I think they're going to be both great games. There's a part of me that thinks that the Rams are going to absolutely blow out the Seahawks. Like it's not going to be
doing these blowouts. My goodness.
No,
I've been hearing from you. This is going to be a blowout. This is going to be a blowout. I've been hearing from you every week. Although you were right about the Seahawks blowout. Yeah, against the Niners. You were right about that. I'll give you credit for that.
One of these games is going to be a blowout for the Rams. One of them. And they're going, like, I got it wrong in Carolina. They have to come back and win that at the last minute. I got it wrong with the Bears. They were set up to win and cover by more than 3.5 points, but Caleb Williams
had other plans.
Cardiac Caleb. Is this the one? I think so, but I said it the last 2 weeks as well. I'm not very credible, but my picks are hitting. So take the Rams in the points, take Denver in the points. Even though I took New England, if you could get it at 5.5 before, I like 5.5. I think it's going to be a close game in Denver, but the Rams, I just think I like the points. Here's the thing about the Rams, and I'll give it to you, Chris.
Yeah, good.
Like
making good points.
With Sam Darnold, Devontae didn't even play in that last game, and you had to have a 2-point conversion and 2 2-point conversions, one of which that shouldn't have counted, and a punt return, and you only won by 1 point. Also, you're going to have to practice a completely different game plan that you haven't repped, that you haven't been ready for, because everything that you have tried for the last 2 games on the offense, on the defensive side in their secondary, it hasn't worked because Puka put up over 320 yards in the 2 games, and Devontae Adams didn't even play in the second one. So I just think that the Rams have the edge, even though Seattle is at home. Seattle is coming off 2 of the last 3 games, beating up on the same teams. All you've done is really beat up on the 49ers 3 of the last 4 weeks. To be honest, in my opinion, a team that you've had their number on, that you've beat 3 times this year? No, 2 times. Two of the 3 times that you played them this year. You beat them 2 times, but you played them well every single time as well. So I think ultimately those are the reasons why I think the Rams are just going to take this one and go on to the Super Bowl and play the Patriots and get that lick back against the Patriots and show everybody, including Drake May, why Matthew Stafford is the MVP. And it's going to be sweet winning it in Santa Clara in Levi Stadium.
Yeah. Well, you had your own little mic drop right there. That was good. That was
Boom.
Good, partner. That was good, partner. Hold on. I wish I had a Pez dispenser like Seinfeld. So let me first talk AFC Championship game. That game is going to be decided by who could run the ball better. Ramondre Stevenson versus RJ Harvey and others, Henderson and those guys and whatnot. What gives Denver a chance are 3 things to me. Actually 4. 1, they're at home. You got the home field advantage. 2, they've got a very good defense that will already give you a chance. And as we've seen, when you have a defense that gives you a chance, you have a chance to win. 3, solid run game. I just mentioned RJ Harvey. And 4, you also have Sean Payton. If there's anyone who could put a backup quarterback who hasn't started a game since the Biden administration in a position to be successful, it's Sean Payton. I wouldn't sleep on that. And I think the game plan with Stidham is going to be simple. 1, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that Vrabel and that coaching staff don't really have any sort of recent scouting report on Jarrett Stidham. What was his last start, Chaz? Week 18 with the Raiders, with the Vegas Raiders. Like that was the last game he actually played and started in, from what I saw. So, it sucks what happened to Bo Nix. Obviously, we would have loved that Nix and May matchup. So a lot of air gets sucked out of of this particular matchup and everything, but it's still going to be an interesting game. And we have seen other backup quarterbacks throughout the years, Jeff Hofstetter, Trent Dilfer, Nick Foles recently. Go back to who was the other backup quarterback? Frank Reich with the Buffalo Bills in the 90s. We've seen guys, and hell, you could even throw Garoppolo in there those a couple of times with the Niners, right? He was sort of a career backup that ended up having some great years with the Niners. If you put these guys in a position where it's just simple black and white X's and O's, make the simple play, find the tight end, find those receivers on the slant routes. We're not going to ask you to throw for 350 yards. We're not going to lean on you like the Rams are going to lean on Stafford or, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Mahomes or any of these other elite quarterbacks. We just want you to do enough. That's it. Make the key plays, make enough of the big plays, and then things will be all right. So we're going to see what happens. It's going to be a grindstone, that AFC Championship. As far as the Rams Seahawks goes, I have one question for you. That game, December 16th, up at what used to be called Century Links, was essentially decided by a really poorly played fourth quarter where Darnold all of a sudden found success against the Rams. So what version of Darnold and the Seahawks are we going to see? Was that fourth quarter just a fluke and overtime? Was that just a fluke? Or did Darnold, Mike McDonald, and the offense for the Seahawks figure something out that they weren't able to figure out against that Rams defense? That's going to be the big question right there. Because you're right. Rams should not only win this game, they should win it by a couple of scores, given their history against Sam Darnold. However,
football is all about confidence, man.
It is. But that fourth quarter in overtime, Chaz, kind of sent the Rams on a downward spiral a little bit. And I'm just wondering, did they find something that they could now expose again on the Rams? Or was that just, hey, they snuck one by us, we took our foot off the gas pedal, and that was it. So
I'm
really intrigued by that aspect of it.
I'll leave it at this. Teams have to go through very large portions of adversity in order to win every single championship.
Right.
And I think that the Rams have gone through theirs more recently, and Seattle went through theirs earlier in the season, but they've had it easy. Like, both of their seasons have been flip-flop. Like, the Rams had the first part of the season where they were rolling a little bit more than the Seahawks. They faced the Seahawks, and ever since then, the Seahawks have had momentum, and the Rams have kind of struggled to recapture that. Even though they still have recaptured it, they've struggled to do so, and they've gone about it and done it the hard way, even though it's self-inflicted by losing to Seattle and blowing a big lead and not taking care of business the way you probably should have against Atlanta and the Cardinals early on. That
loss hurt too. Yeah.
That one hurt, but that really wasn't going to change much of anything ultimately, because you lost to Seattle. All that really was going to change is, honestly, because of the way that it played out, it would have been the same exact seed and playing the same exact team that you played in the first round anyway. So I say all that to say, I think the Rams have found something by being able to win that game. There's something to be said about winning that game in the cold when you're not supposed to.
Right. Because you had the feeling all the momentum was with Chicago, And
McVay and Stafford knowing that they were both of them not at their best. Like, very rarely is McVay and Stafford both calling plays like dog shit and throwing the ball like dog shit.
Exactly,
and they both said, hey, we're both dog shit, but they won't be anymore. So, and I believe them. They won't be. I think their best is better than Seattle's best. And even if the both of them play at their best, the Rams should take it. Take the 2.5. Go Rams, going to the motherfucking Super Bowl.
Third NFC championship in the McVay era, and third overall in the last 8 seasons. Or 7 seasons, I should say. So, I mean, they have done very, very well at this level. And obviously, Chaez, another thing we're not talking about, Seattle, we talked about these injuries. Zach Charbonnet, not going to, former UCLA standout. He's had a fantastic season, won't be available for the Seahawks. So that kind of mitigates their run game. A lot more on Kenneth Walker, but we'll see. We will see what happens. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the Rams have been able to get to this point, but when you think about it, a play here, a play there against a wily Chicago team, almost, I mean, if that pass does not get picked off by Cam Curl, who knows? I mean, they're setting themselves up to hit a game-winning field goal themselves. So, not taking anything away from the Rams. It's hard to get to this point. We should have all, as LA Ram fans and City of LA sports in general, should appreciate this fact, because it's very difficult to get here, as we've seen in recent years. All I'm saying is that December 16th game was something figured out by Darnold and the Seahawks offense. We will find out going in to Sunday's matchup, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be fun to watch.
Going to be fun to watch. Well, we appreciate you guys tapping in for another episode of The Outlet Forum. Catch us next Wednesday at 8:30 as well. We're coming back with another great show, and I'm going to get more comments and a little bit more back and forth, because I want to hear from you guys and the fans talking about what we're talking about as well. So we're going to engage a little bit more when it comes to that, putting out some stuff, and got some great shows for you guys leading up to the All-Star break and post All-Star break and trade deadline as well. So appreciate you guys tapping in. We will see you next week. Chris, anything you want to plug or tap in at?
Yeah, just be sure to follow us on our social media and YouTube at The Outlet Forum. That's at The Outlet Forum. You can follow me right here at Chris_Camelo on X, CCamelo1 on Instagram. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. And by the way, just on a movie reference, go watch Jay Kelly with George Clooney and Adam Sandler. Sandler gives a fantastic performance. And by the way, was just spotted eating In-N-Out in Cabazon today, I think. He was and he was just in there like a regular guy. Short shorts and sweater vest and all.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I fell asleep on that movie. But I gotta watch it. I'm sorry, Chris. When he said that he was gonna go to Europe with his daughter, and he was packing his shit, and they were trying to get him not to go. I just remember trying to keep my eyes open, and I was like, oh my God, it's just so boring. Why does he want to go with his why does he want to go see his daughter so bad? This fucking guy, George Clooney. Good night. And I fell asleep. But
all right.
You said it was good.
I'm
gonna go back and watch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and watch. Well,
anyway, good stuff.
Appreciate you guys. Good shit. See you guys next week. Peace.